Tonight on ABC, the election week special report on Donald Trump. Now reporting, Peter Norman and Michael Lawson.
Hi, and welcome to tonight's special broadcast for the Super Election Week. My name is Peter Norman.
And my name is Michael Lawson.
Michael, can you please tell us a little bit of what tonight's broadcast will be all about?
I sure can, Peter. As you all know, this is the second part of the Election Week special, which tonight has focused on Donald Trump, the multimillionaire presidential candidate. Last night, we talked about the first woman in American history to ever be running for president. I'm of course talking about Hillary Clinton. Peter.
The Election Week special is all about getting to know the presidential candidates so you can make the right choices regarding the presidential election. So who is Donald Trump and what does he stand for? This question has our very own special reporter John Carter tackled and summarized in an ABC Election Week special documentary about Donald Trump. Let's get right into the action with John Carter.
Donald Trump, an awfully rich businessman, well known for his controversies through the years, now is on the verge of becoming the next president of the United States of America. His whole life story has been pointing at the same direction, leading up to this very moment. We will begin this documentary with one special night that may have changed history. We are talking about the 30th of April 2011, the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Donald Trump got invited to the luxurious and highly monitored event. That night, all spotlights were pointed towards Washington, and if something in particular happened, media would make sure that everyone knew about it the morning after.
For weeks, Donald Trump had criticized and accused President Barack Obama on public television for not being born in the United States because he had never showed his birth certificate in public. Trump argued there would be a huge scandal if the president of the country wasn't born inside the borders. Obama later on gave Trump what he wanted and showed his birth certificate on television for everybody to see.
On that night, President Barack Obama held a famous speech in which he openly made fun of and humiliated Trump in front of everybody to see. Himself, everybody at the dinner, and of course, the whole world.
Donald thought this was unacceptable. He hates being humiliated, and this wouldn't be something he would just let pass through without any consequences.
One joke in particular may have been decisive. The one where President Barack Obama joked about the possibility of Donald Trump becoming the next president of the United States of America.
Obama started something he couldn't control, and I believe that night Donald Trump decided to run for president for real.
That speech was like the cherry on the top and became a motivation for him. If Donald Trump was successful and become the president of the United States, he would give all his critics a punch in the face. It would be ultimate revenge to become the most powerful man in the world.
Donald Trump was born in 1946 and grew up in New York, right across the East River from Manhattan's South in a neighborhood called Jamaica Estates, Queens. It was a typical New York community in the 1940s, besides from one little detail. Among all regular houses stood one gigantic house, and of course it belonged to the family of Trump.
It wasn't a regular house, to be honest. The house Donald's father Fred designed himself very much resembles a well-known White House in Washington.
Fred Trump made sure Donald and his siblings grew up in luxury. He also made sure that they would work in the family business when they got older.
In Fred's head, he prioritized work ahead of the family, and if he could get the children to work for him, he would combine the two most important parts of his life. Fred Trump was a human machine who lived for business and personally. He was cold and impersonal, but nevertheless, a properly professional businessman with a lot of energy for the thing that really mattered to him, real estate. That energy was contagious, and Donald, as we see today, has got the same kind of energy.
Fred is said to have believed in various theories, one in particular which he imparted to his children, and especially Trump. The one about human development, that man, like machine and products, can be developed and improved by combining various good factors with each other. He believed that there were people who were better than others, and that some genes were superior to others, and so on. And one was said to combine these genes with each other, one from a superior man and one from a superior woman. Even the children were said to be superior, if not even more. Another theory is that life is a struggle, a constant competition with winners and losers.
If you did not win, you were a loser and nobody. It was unacceptable. You should be a so-called killer, according to Fred, to be successful in this world.
Donald is said to have been shaped by his father's words and has always tried to fulfill them since then. As a child, Donald was a troublesome type who constantly fought with others. According to himself, he was and still is a tough son of a bitch in every single situation. Eventually, even Fred himself got tired of Donald and sent him to a boarding school. Not any boarding school, but the toughest one in the area, called the New York Military Academy. Suddenly, Donald went from being a 30-year-old child with a convenient life of luxury to a child with a hard life under full control.
There existed no cussing at the school. Everyone was disciplined from their heads to their toes, and the environment at the school was very hard and scary, and like many boarding schools, a hazing culture existed. This was no environment for a child to grow up in, because either you became scared of life, or you became a person with a distorted perception of reality which started that life. Like in Father Fred's theories, it's a cold and hellish fight.
One can say that Donald belonged to the crowd that became belated ones, and he really liked the school. There were awards and clear rules for everything, things that Donald appreciated deeply. Donald was apparently good at sports in his youth, and according to himself, he could have easily become a professional baseball player if he wanted to. His self-confidence was and still is on top. Classmates agree, however, that he can be proud of being appointed as a ladies' man in one of the yearbooks of the school.
Hi, John.
Hi, Matthew.
Welcome.
Thanks.
How are you? It was a great award for a boy on a boys' school. Many of our classmates at the school had Playboy Hugh Hefner as an idol. Many of them learned a lot about life and women through Playboy, and when they finished school, they began with the so-called Playboy philosophy, which they applied in life. But many of them understood, however, that it could not be used fully in the real life, which forced them to grow up. And I can say with great certainty that Trump didn't share this revelation with them, and he is relatively similar to the one he was when he was young.
The priest Norman Vincent Peale, who sold over 1 million copies of his famous book, The Power of Positive Thinking, also had a great influence on Donald Trump in his youth.
Fred wanted that Donald would hear him speak in the Church of Manhattan because of his positive approach to personal success, capitalism, and wealth. Fred wanted it because it was in line with what he thought and what later on even Donald thought.
Donald followed his words and graduated from Wharton School of Finance and Commerce. Afterwards, he also followed his father's wish and footsteps as an apprentice in the family's real estate company.
While Donald's siblings weren't like their father, Donald became a newer copy. Fred's and Donald's hard approach even got Fred's older brother, Fred Jr., to take the bottle's help, and he became an alcoholic, which later on became his early death.
Regarding his brother's faith, Donald said that Fred Jr. was a weak and simply not a killer. His faith made Donald to be even more driven to be his contrary and live up to the killer mentality his father has created.
Donald moved in the 1970s from Queens to Manhattan, where he has remained until now. Life in Manhattan, according to Donald himself, was glamorous and Hollywood-like, something he hadn't been a part of until then and wanted to take a part of in the future.
Donald had big dreams to succeed and do the things his father never managed to do, which was to get into Manhattan real estate market and establish himself there.
To succeed in Manhattan, Donald took help of the toughest of them all, the infamous lawyer Roy Coon. Coon taught Donald how to become confrontational and also wrote a do not take crap from anyone mentality in Donald's head. Furthermore, Coon taught Donald how to hit back against insults and accusations, and how to use legal processes as weapons.
Donald is a person who does not recognize his own mistakes, and he's very defensive to his nature. A critic is a traitor in his eyes and they should be crushed. And with Trump's power in the business world, he's no one to play with. You should be quiet or else you will risk your job.
He lived as a so-called playboy for a long while, and when he later on married the Russian supermodel Ivana Trump in 1977. Of course, Roy Coon was the one who designed the prenuptial, and Norman Vincent Peale the one who united the ceremony. After the wedding, Donald wanted to find the perfect place to live in Manhattan, and it became his first major project that would once and for all surpass his father's achievements. It got called Trump Tower.
Trump Tower is everything Donald wants to be. It's bold, it's big, it's polished, and highly marketed.
It was the first time he really got to feel the fame, and he thrives in the limelight. Without it, he feels diminished. He was there to stay, to say the least.
After that, he worked hard to promote himself by buying up properties and forming different kinds of companies and businesses in his name all over the US. He did this without thinking of the consequences, which almost became his death financially. He just saw fame ahead of him, which almost made him blind.
The 1990s were marked by scandals. He got divorced with his wife and furthermore failed his biggest project to this day, the casino Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. He blamed his failures on others, not on himself. However, he survived his failures because of his excellent ability to promote things and above all, himself. Due to this skill, he was already too big to fail, and he got help from various banks because they realized that the losses would be greater without his name and face. He is the best promoter of the 20th century.
Attention is something he loves. He was looking to make himself emotional, which he still is. It made him speak about all sorts of things to get publicity, such as political matters, about crimes. His controversial statements gave him a huge attention in the 1988. The talk about Trump for president began. It was the thought that even if he did not want to fulfill at the time, which has been with him for the rest of his life.
Since then, Donald has struggled with critics and the fact that he has had trouble finding friends. When you live on the top of the social pyramid, friendship is a difficult matter.
Whom should he trust that does not have ulterior motives to exploit his position? Donald Trump personifies the loneliness at the top. He furthermore managed to go with personal profit, after all, because he could use his name without being held responsible for its setbacks. He simply became personally and PR-wise successful, even though his company was on the verge of a disaster.
The enthusiasm on the lines, what they're now talking about are the lines, because you have early voting in Florida, and the enthusiasm on the lines is unbelievable.
So you're not fighting from behind?
George, I think I'm going to win. I mean, what can I tell you? I think I'm going to win. I really believe that we've gotten a very unfair narrative from the press. I feel the press is very dishonest. I know the press is very dishonest. And I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win Florida.
Marketing of his name is the #1 priority for Donald Trump, and as long as people think he's successful in the business world, the rest isn't important.
He has appeared in media constantly throughout the years and has contributed to many commercials. He became like a human billboard, and he even became a reality star in the program The Apprentice, in which millions of Americans could follow a possibly skewed angle picture of Donald Trump as a hugely successful businessman, even though it had not always been the case.
The truth is not all for Donald. It's what you believe in that is the most important thing, and he believes that if you can repeat something often enough, people will also start to believe it.
So you mean that the truth and the reality necessarily isn't the most important part, according to Trump himself?
That may be a correct way of expressing his thoughts, yes.
The Apprentice aired for 14 seasons. In doing so, Donald Trump had risen from the ground yet again and became immensely popular and something almost perfect as the American dream as all Americans aspire. And we can all admit that the American dream and everything around it, like everything around Donald Trump as well, is a long way from the truth, but it's still a quest for the impossible that people in general want to reach.
With the popularity and the view people had about Trump as a strong leader, the talk about Trump for president came on the agenda again. The Apprentice became like a 14-season-long presidential campaign.
Since he stood as a candidate and later on became the presidential candidate for the Republicans in July this year, he has played on the Americans' quest of reaching the American dream. He has blamed everything possible as reasons why the American dream is dying and how he, if he is elected president, shall ensure that the American dream will be revived and even strengthened, even how unreal it is. His whole life has been like a roller coaster ride, up and down both personally and businessly, but he has always believed that all publicity is good publicity and that he is a winner. But the question remains, will he become a winner after the election, the 8th of November 2016?
Now we have John Carter with us in the studio. Welcome and thanks for an intriguing documentary about Donald Trump.
Thank you, Peter. I think the documentary speaks for itself, but nevertheless, he has worked an interesting and unorthodox way to get to his current position.
Okay. To conclude this broadcast, we want to ask you a final question. Will Donald Trump win the election next week? John?
I personally think he will have a chance to win the election, but it's very, very close, so I can't tell.
Thank you, John. With those words, we want to conclude this broadcast and wish you all a good evening. May the best candidate win. Good night. Donald Trump That is the name of the new president of the United States. My name is Peter Norman from ABC News. America is a shattered country. The half of the American people are celebrating Donald Trump's historical victory, while the other half are furious with the result. Some even are frightened and feel uncertain about the future as a country. With us today, we have our very own John Carter reporting live from Texas. Hello, John.
Hello, Peter. I'm standing here in the middle of Houston, Texas, where Donald Trump won the majority of the votes in the election. With me, I have a Trump sympathizer. How do you feel about the results?
I feel just great, man. Me and my family have been celebrating all night. And I can just say, we finally got the change we wanted, and we're gonna make America great again.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that statement?
Hell yeah! Let's go, Donald Trump! Hey, Brady, did you see?
Back to you, Peter.
Thank you, John. We also have our own Michael Lawson in the middle of a riot in the streets of Manhattan. Michael, how is the situation right now?
Well, I can tell you, Peter. We just went inside Trump Tower, but outside is pretty wild. People are marching and screaming due to Donald Trump's victory. The Manhattan police is already here trying to take over the control. I'm standing here with a protester. How do you feel about Donald Trump being elected president?
I don't really know what to say. I'm very afraid of what will become of our country now when Trump has been elected president. So I strongly hope that there will be some kind of solution on this matter.
Thank you for your thoughts. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Michael. And that is all for now. God bless America.